They told you that turning your passion into profit would set you free. They lied. Right now, somewhere in America, a woman who used to love painting is staring at her phone, watching her engagement metrics drop, feeling that familiar tightness in her chest. The brushes sit untouched. She hasn't painted for joy in 8 months. What she has done is filmed herself painting 17 times, optimized her content for the algorithm, researched trending color palettes, and woken up at 3 in the morning wondering why the thing she loved most in the world now feels like a noose around her neck. This is not an accident. This is the design. You need to understand something fundamental about the world you are living in. Every single space in your life that once existed outside the market, every quiet corner where you could simply be, is being systematically invaded, monetized, and destroyed. Your hobbies are not hobbies anymore. They are side hustles. They are personal brands. They are content. And the moment you accepted this, the moment you let them convince you that your weekend woodworking or your Tuesday night book club or your morning run needed to generate income, you handed over the last piece of yourself that the system had not yet consumed. Let me take you back to a specific moment in history, because this story does not start with Instagram or Etsy or YouTube. It starts much earlier, in the ashes of the Great Depression, when the entire framework of American life was being rewired at the level of the soul. The year is 1933. Franklin Roosevelt has just taken office. 13 million Americans are unemployed. The stock market has lost nearly 90% of its value. Families are living in shanty towns they call Hoovervilles, named with bitter irony after the president who told them prosperity was just around the corner while they starved. But here is what the history books do not emphasize enough. The Great Depression did not just destroy the economy. It destroyed something deeper. It destroyed the idea that life had meaning outside of work. Before the crash, there had been a growing movement in America, a radical notion that people deserved leisure time, that a life well lived included hours spent on pursuits that had no economic value whatsoever. The labor movement was fighting for the 8-hour workday, not just for rest, but for life, for time to read, to garden, to play with your children, to sit on your porch and watch the sun go down without calculating the opportunity cost. There were community centers in every neighborhood, libraries that taught painting and music for free, public parks designed not for profit but for joy. The idea was simple and revolutionary. Human beings were more than their labor. Then the Depression hit, and that idea died screaming. Suddenly, any moment not spent trying to survive felt like a moral failing. If you had time to paint, you should be looking for work. If you had energy for a hobby, you were not trying hard enough to feed your family. The cultural message became clear and brutal. Your worth is your productivity. Your value is your output. Everything else is selfish indulgence. But here is where it gets interesting, where the story takes a turn that explains everything happening to you right now in 2026. The Great Depression eventually ended. The economy recovered. America entered a period of unprecedented prosperity in the 1950s. Factories were humming. Jobs were plentiful. The middle class was growing. People had money again, disposable income, something their parents could not have imagined during the Dust Bowl years. And for a brief moment, it looked like maybe, just maybe, Americans might reclaim that pre-depression idea of leisure, of hobbies, of time spent on pursuits that fed the soul rather than the bank account. The system could not allow this to happen. See, capitalism has a fundamental problem, a built-in contradiction that it can never resolve. It requires infinite growth in a finite world. It needs you to keep buying, keep consuming, keep wanting forever. If people started spending their time on activities that did not generate profit, if they started finding fulfillment in things that could not be bought or sold, the entire machine would shudder and stall. So the solution was elegant and devastating. They would not take away your hobbies. They would do something far more insidious. They would sell them back to you. Think about what happened in post-war America. Before the Depression, if you wanted to go camping, you walked into the woods with a blanket and some food. By the 1950s, camping required specialized equipment. Tents designed by engineers, sleeping bags rated for specific temperatures, portable stoves, coolers. Camping became an industry. The same thing happened to every hobby, every pastime, every simple pleasure. Want to ride a bike? You need the right gear, the right clothes, the right accessories. Want to take photographs? You need the right camera, the right lenses, the right editing software, the right printer. Want to cook? You need the right knives, the right pans, the right appliances, the stand mixer, the food processor, the subscription to the meal kit service that teaches you techniques you could have learned from your grandmother for free. They took activities that human beings had done for thousands of years with almost nothing, and they built massive consumer industries around them. And here is the truly brilliant part. They convinced you that this was freedom. They convinced you that buying more stuff to do your hobby better was self-expression, was pursuing your passion, was living your best life. But it did not stop there. It could not stop there. Because once they had monetized your hobbies as a consumer, they realized they could monetize them again, this time with you as the producer. Fast forward to the late 1990s and early 2000s. The internet arrives, and with it, the promise of democratization. Anyone can be a publisher. Anyone can be an artist. Anyone can share their work with the world. And for about 5 minutes, that was almost true. People built websites about their weird interests. They wrote blogs that 7 people read. They posted photos of their cats. They made videos of themselves playing guitar in their bedrooms, not because they thought they would get famous, but because it was fun. The internet was strange and wild and mostly useless in the best possible way. Then the platforms arrived. Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, and they brought with them a new logic, a new way of organizing human attention and human behavior. They introduced metrics, likes, shares, followers, views. Suddenly, everything you did online was being measured, quantified, ranked, and human psychology being what it is, we started optimizing for those metrics. We started performing for the algorithm instead of for ourselves. But the real shift happened when they introduced monetization, partner programs, ad revenue, sponsored content, affiliate links. The platforms looked at all this human creativity, all this passion and obsession and weird niche knowledge, and they realized they had been sitting on a gold mine. They could turn every single user into an unpaid content creator, generating endless material that kept other users engaged, which generated advertising revenue that the platforms kept most of, while giving the creators just enough to keep them hooked. This is where you are right now. This is the trap that is closed around you. The woman who loved painting, the one I told you about at the beginning, she did not wake up one day and decide to destroy the thing she loved. It happened slowly. So slowly, she did not notice until it was too late. First, she just shared photos of her paintings on Instagram because her friends wanted to see them. Then people she did not know started following her. Then someone asked if she did commissions. Then she opened an Etsy shop just to make a little money on the side. Then she started posting more frequently because the algorithm rewarded consistency. Then she started painting things that performed well rather than things she wanted to paint. Then she started filming herself painting because video content got more engagement. Then she started researching trending styles and popular color schemes and optimal posting times. Then she hired someone to help with her social media because it was taking too much time. Then painting stopped being something she did to relax and started being something that stressed her out. Then she realized she had not painted anything for herself, anything she actually wanted to create, in over a year. This is not a story about one woman. This is happening to millions of people right now, across every hobby, every interest, every passion. The knitter who used to make scarves for her grandchildren now runs a pattern shop and fulfills custom orders and manages a Discord community and films tutorials and writes blog posts about yarn weights and feels guilty every time she knits something just because she wants to. The runner who used to love the feeling of moving through the world now tracks every mile, every split, every heart rate zone, posts every run to Strava, obsesses over personal records, and has not gone for a slow jog just to watch the sunrise in 3 years. The cook who used to experiment in the kitchen now films every recipe, stages every plate, writes descriptions optimized for Pinterest, and cannot make dinner without thinking about content. They have turned your joy into labor, and they have convinced you that this is empowerment. Here is what they do not tell you about monetizing your hobbies. They do not tell you that the moment something becomes a source of income, it stops being a refuge. They do not tell you that when your passion has to pay your rent, you can no longer turn to it when you are stressed about rent. They do not tell you that optimizing for engagement is fundamentally incompatible with creative exploration, because engagement rewards the familiar and the algorithm punishes risk. They do not tell you that building an audience means you are now performing for that audience, which means you are no longer free to evolve or change or try something weird just to see what happens. Most of all, they do not tell you that you are not actually building a business. You are building a dependency on a platform that can change its rules at any moment, that owes you nothing, that will bury your content the second it stops serving their interests. Do you know what happened to the YouTube creators who built their entire lives around the platform, who quit their jobs and went all in? When YouTube changed its algorithm in 2012, and then again in 2016, and then again in 2019, their views collapsed overnight. Their income disappeared, and they had no recourse, no union, no contract, no protection, because they were not employees. They were users. And users have no rights. But let me go deeper, because the problem is not just that monetizing your hobbies is risky or stressful or unfulfilling. The problem is that it represents the final frontier of capitalist expansion, the colonization of the last space in human life that existed outside the market economy. Think about your day. You wake up and go to work. 8 hours, 10 hours, 12 hours of your life sold for a wage. That is the primary extraction. Then you come home, and what do? You consume. You watch streaming services that sell your attention to advertisers. You scroll social media that harvests your data and manipulates your behavior. You shop online, adding to the cart, always adding to the cart, because the algorithm knows exactly what you want before you do. That is the secondary extraction. Your work makes them money. Your consumption makes them money. But what about that 1 hour? That one precious hour between dinner and sleep when you used to do something just for you? What about the weekends? When you used to have hobbies, pursuits, interests that had nothing to do with profit? That was the last frontier. That was the space they had not yet captured. Until now. Now they have convinced you that even that hour, even that weekend, needs to be productive, needs to generate value, needs to be content. And if you are not monetizing your hobbies, you are leaving money on the table. You are wasting your potential. You are failing to build your personal brand. Do you see what has happened? They have enclosed the commons of your internal life. They have privatized your free time. There is no longer any part of your existence that is allowed to simply be. And the cruelest part, the part that makes this so hard to escape, is that they have made it seem like freedom, like choice, like opportunity. You are not being exploited. You are being empowered. You are not losing yourself. You are building your brand. You are not destroying the thing you love. You are turning your passion into profit. The language is always the language of liberation, even as the chains get tighter. So what do? How do you escape a trap that does not look like a trap? How do you reclaim your hobbies when the entire culture is screaming that hobbies are supposed to make money? First, you have to understand that this will feel wrong. It will feel wasteful and selfish and irresponsible because you have been programmed to feel that way. You have internalized the logic of productivity so deeply that doing something for no reason other than joy will trigger guilt and anxiety. That is not a bug. That is a feature. That discomfort is the collar they have placed around your neck, and you have to be willing to feel it and do the thing anyway. Second, you have to be willing to be invisible. You have to do your hobby without posting about it, without tracking it, without turning it into content. You have to paint the painting and then put it in a closet. You have to write the story and then delete it. You have to bake the bread and then eat it with your family and let that be enough. This is almost impossible in the current moment because we have been trained to believe that if something is not documented and shared, it did not really happen. But that belief is a lie. The things you do in private, for no audience, with no metrics, are more real than anything you will ever post. Third, you have to protect your hobbies like a border guard. You have to build walls around them. No monetization, no optimization, no growth, no metrics. The moment someone suggests you could make money doing this thing, you have to say no, even if you need the money, even if it seems like an opportunity, because the money is the hook. The money is how they get in. And once they are in, your hobby is over. Fourth, and this is the hardest part, you have to accept being bad at things. You have to let yourself be a beginner, a dilettante, someone who does things poorly and without improvement because you are doing them for fun, not for mastery. The culture tells you that if you are not constantly improving, constantly leveling up, constantly working toward expertise, then you are wasting your time. But hobbies are not supposed to be work. They are supposed to be play. And play, by definition, has no purpose beyond itself. Let me tell you about a man I know. He is in his 60s. He has a workshop in his garage. He makes furniture, chairs, tables, cabinets. He has been doing this for 30 years. He is pretty good at it. People have offered to buy his pieces. People have suggested he could sell them online, make a nice little side income. He always says no. His furniture is not for sale. It is not for anyone but him and the people he loves. He makes a chair for his daughter when she gets her first apartment. He makes a table for his son's wedding. He makes a cabinet for his wife just because she mentioned once that she wished she had more storage in the kitchen. He does not post photos. He does not have an Instagram account. He does not even take pictures most of the time. He makes things, and then he gives them away, and then he makes more things. I asked him once why he does not sell them. He could make good money. He could retire early. He looked at me like I had suggested he sell his children. He said, and I will never forget this, he said, if I sold them, I would have to make what other people want, and then it would not be mine anymore. That is the secret they do not want you to know. The moment you monetize, you lose ownership. Not legal ownership, spiritual ownership. The thing stops being yours and starts being theirs. It starts belonging to the market, to the algorithm, to the audience. And you cannot get that back. So here is my challenge to you. Pick one thing, one hobby, one interest, one small corner of your life, and make it sacred. Make it unmarketable. Make it completely, utterly, defiantly useless. Do not post about it. Do not optimize it. Do not let anyone convince you it could be more. Just do it because you want to. Do it because it makes you feel human. Do it because there has to be something in your life that exists outside the logic of profit, or you will forget what it feels like to be free. They will tell you this is naive. They will tell you this is privileged. They will tell you that in this economy, you cannot afford to leave money on the table, that every skill should be leveraged, every passion should be productized, every moment should be optimized. They will tell you that the system is too big, too powerful, too all-encompassing for your small act of refusal to matter. They are wrong. Every moment you spend doing something for no reason other than love is a crack in their foundation. Every hobby you refuse to monetize is territory they cannot claim. Every hour you spend in pursuits that generate no data, no content, no profit, is an hour you are fully human in a world that wants to turn you into a resource. This is not about changing the system. This is about saving yourself. And maybe, if enough of us save ourselves, if enough of us reclaim these small spaces of freedom, we can remember what it feels like to live instead of merely produce. We can remember that we are not brands or content creators or side hustlers. We are people, and people need more than profit to survive. Do not let them monetize your hobbies. It is one of the last things they have not taken. And if you give it to them, there will be nothing left of you but an optimized shell, performing for an audience that does not care, creating content for a platform that will replace you the moment you stop being profitable, wondering why the thing you used to love now feels like drowning. Keep something for yourself. Keep it secret. Keep it sacred. Keep it useless. That is where your humanity lives. That is the last free place. Defend it with everything you have.